Hey everyone, welcome back to White Sparrow Living, Luke 12:6. I'm Wendy. I'm so happy you're here, but we're getting started now. For our first project, we're going to be using a pair of snow boots, 4 of the microfiber dust mops, and some Christmas greenery. I picked these snow boots up at the Goodwill for a springtime DIY that I did, and so we're going to be recycling those and using them for Christmas. So I first cut off the edge of my microfiber dust mop, and I'm going to kind of close that up even though I didn't open up the seam, but just to keep those fibers all in place. And then I'm going to connect it with my other piece, and then I'm going to wrap it around my boot so that I can measure. And this is going to make it to where I'll be able to change this out back again for the springtime, and I'll be able to show this super cute Dollar Tree gingham dish towel. So I only want this to overlap just about an inch or so I'm gonna cut the excess off and then glue it in the back, and it's all nice and attached. Now I'm gonna take some sparkly Dollar Tree ribbon, and I'm gonna hot glue that to the bottom of the sole and just wrap it around, and then hot glue it on the other side. And then using 2 of the Merry Christmas ornaments from Dollar Tree, I'm just gonna pull off the little buckle and attach that right in the middle of my ribbon. So then I took some Dollar Tree floral foam that I used in something else, and I'm just going to tuck those into both of those boots, and then I'll take my Christmas greenery and just start poking those in here and there, already made up. And then I did use a lot of the scraps that I had left over from prior DIYs, so this was a really good time to kind of clean that stash out. I'm also going to be using a couple of those jumbo pine cones from the Dollar Tree, and I'll just cut those down using my wire cutters. And I'm going to keep that stem because it's really heavy duty wire, so I might be able to use that in something else. So then I took a couple of the Dollar Tree Christmas trees and I just pushed those branches down so that it looked a little bit cuter. And then I'm going to take some wired lights and put some batteries in those battery packs and then tuck those into the back of the boots, and I'll have one for each of those boots. So now I'm going to take some scrap greenery from the Dollar Tree that I used in a DIY that's coming up, and I'm just going to take little pieces and attach those to the Christmas tree here and there just to make it a little bit lighter. And then I'm going to take some fabric that I cut down in strips, and you'll see me do that in a later DIY, but I'm just going to fold it in thirds and crunch it in the middle and attach that with a chenille stem, and then I'll dovetail the ends and attach it right in the middle of both of the boots. And so here it is at nighttime, and I just love lights. I think it's so pretty, especially at night when everybody's gone to bed and I'm in there by myself and I have all the big lights off and just the Christmas lights on. It's so peaceful. And here it is in the daytime, and it's just still so stinking cutie patootie. I love how this turned out. And I'm also able to pull the furry stuff off so it's transitional and I can use it in my springtime decor again, and just pull off the little ribbon and buckle and save that for next Christmas. But I love how this turned out, and I hope you guys like it too. I wanted to take a minute to tell you about my new friend Belinda at Belinda's DIYs, and if you like farmhouse decor and crafting on a budget, this is your girl. She has all kinds of awesome DIYs, so after you're done here, go check her out, and I'll have that channel linked in the description box below. For our next DIY, I'm going to be using some Christmas greenery, a red bucket, 3 of those, what are those, peppermint sticks, and then some floral foam, and I didn't even need the scatter foam. And then I'm also going to be using these pink pearls because I want to do something in the pink and red. So these half pearls have adhesive on the back, so I was able to easily follow the line of either a white or a red strip on that peppermint stick, and I didn't have to go all the way down, so I just did 2 rows in each of those lines because I'm going to be sticking it into the floral foam. So I put my floral foam into the bottom of my bucket, and then I'm just going to push those in, and I want this to kind of look like when you see those arrangements that have the logs inside of the buckets. I think that's really cute. So that was kind of what this idea was. So then I took my Christmas greenery, and again, a good time to use your scraps, and I'm just going to poke those into my floral foam, and that's why I didn't need the scatter foam, because it was so full it didn't show the floral foam at all. And then to add some more farmhouse cuteness, I wanted to add this ornament, and I'm just going to poke a little hole in the back of it and stick a skewer right inside of him, and then just break off that skewer and poke it into the front of my arrangement. Now I'm going to make a sweet little bow using the fold over method and this sweet candy cane ribbon. And so since it is so thin, it's a lot easier to do it this way than the twisting method. And so I just rolled that over and did 4 loops on each side. And then once I found the middle, by folding it in half, I'm going to make tiny little slits on each side. And then I'm going to take a chenille stem and wrap that around there, making sure that it goes in between those little slits. And then I'll poof out my loops. And here it is, all finished, and I think this is so adorable. It's festive and I love the colors. I got my candle holders that are next to it from a store that's gone out of business, and I can't even remember the name of it, but I've had those for like 15 years, and it really shouldn't go next to this lamp, but I was in a hurry, so excuse the set. But I love how this turned out, and I hope you guys like it too. So a few days ago, I started a new Facebook page called the Dollar Tree Sparrow's Nest, and I get hundreds of pictures of projects that you guys have been sending me, and I feel so selfish for not getting to share those with everyone. So if you have a Facebook, I would love for you guys to join and post your projects so everyone can see them. For our next DIY, I'm going to be using a pizza pan, those half beads again, and some snowflakes, and I end up changing everything else, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But the first thing I did was just painted the back of my pizza pan completely white using my Waverly chalk paint, and then I'm going to take my snowflakes, and then using the color Ballet Slipper in the chalk paint, I'm going to paint 3 of my wooden snowflakes. So now using my Silhouette Cameo 3 and some red adhesive vinyl, I'm going to cut out the words, "I can see the promise even in the winter." And I got this idea from the song by Hillsong Worship that's called Seasons. It's from back in 2017, but I'm going to have that linked in the description box below because you guys really need to hear it and read the lyrics, and oh my goodness, it's such a good song and so encouraging. So after my words are all cut out, I'm going to take off the excess vinyl that's all around them, and then I'm going to take my pen and get all of the insides of my letters out, and that's called weeding. Then once that's all ready, I'm going to take my transfer tape and I'm going to take off some of the tackiness from that and then put that on top of my decal, and then I'll use my squeegee to get it all pushed down and no bubbles in there, and then I'll pull off the backing paper, and then I'm going to apply that to the back of my pizza pan. So in my Silhouette Suite, the reason I was able to get the right size and placement of my words is because I made a little round circle and put some snowflakes in the areas where I knew I wanted them, and then made my words around that on my screen, if that makes sense. So that's why it's in the right place. And then I'm going to take my snowflakes and place those with my hot glue and let them kind of overhang on the outside part of my pizza pan. And then Kaydance came in and she had done an art project at school, and so she wanted me to show you guys, and so she made adorable little ornaments, and I just think it's super cute. So now I'm going to use these pretty frosty greenery picks for the outside edge of my pizza pan, and I knew that these would be perfect for this project, but I was completely out of them, and they haven't had them at the Dollar Tree since I've been back. So I was using the lamb's ear from Walmart, and then I happened to walk by a tree that I did on my wall back in October out of the garland, and I had forgotten that I had about 15 picks in there. So then I was able to use it. So now this is the fabric that I got from Walmart, and it's in the Christmas section. And so I'm just going to cut down a piece of this and use a chenille stem to tie it in the middle. And this is going to be the back side of my bow that I'm going to make using strips of this same fabric. So I'm just going to hot glue that down, and then I'll cut strips that are about 1.5, maybe 2 inches wide. And then I'm going to glue those two together because I didn't want to use too much of this. I love this fabric so much. And then I'm going to make a bow using the twisting method. And I gave this 4 loops on each side, and then I'm going to hot glue that right in the middle of my bigger bow on the back. So Dollar Tree has these little half beads in red, but I couldn't find mine, so I had to make do, and I just used my crimson chalk paint and painted my little beads, and then I used my super glue to put those right in the middle of my snowflakes. And then I'm going to take some of the large berries and I'm going to hot glue those randomly around my wreath, and I just put a pair in a couple of places and then a couple of them individually just to spread it throughout the entire wreath. And then for the back, I'm going to take a chenille stem and fold it in half and then wrap it at the bottom, and then I'll hot glue that into place and then place a little bit more of that ribbon on top of that just for some more security. And here it is all finished, and I am just so in love with this. I love this color palette, and I was already in love with pinks and greens. In fact, I have a Pinterest board called Addicted to Pink and Greens, but I love the red added to this color palette. I just think it makes it so pretty. And my little deer, or maybe it's a doe, I don't know, I got that at World Market, and I just love that vintage vibe it has. It's so stinking cute. Anyway, I love how this turned out. I love the message, and I hope you guys like it too. For our next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to be using a snow globe, a mini tree, some miniature collectibles, and then some faux snow. And I changed my ribbon on this one too. So the first thing I did was took my chalk paint and I just made different shades of pink using my ballet slipper and some white. And I'm just going to change their outfits into a pink and red color palette. And this is so therapeutic and fun to do because it's so small and it's just relaxing, and I recommend doing this after a stressful long day and just making things over. It's just so fun. Anyway, I'm going to do that on my little wishing well, my man and my lady caroler, and then I'm going to take my bottle brush Christmas I can't say that. Bottle brush Christmas. I'm going to take my Christmas tree and I'm going to cut it down so that it fits inside of my little snow globe, and then I'll give it a haircut so that it's a little bit thinner and my people will all be able to fit inside there. I can't say that, and it's so funny. Anyway, then I'm going to take my wishing well, and I just cut off a little piece because I couldn't fit both platforms onto that plastic piece. And so then I put my carolers in front of that, hot glued that all down, and then I'm going to take my faux snow and I'm going to put a little bit inside of my snow globe, and then I'll pop the bottom part into there, make sure I have the right amount. So I was going to be done with this, but I thought this was so cute that I wanted to make it a little bit higher and make it more of a piece, a larger piece. So I took this ramekin bowl and I'm going to paint the edges where it wasn't painted, and that kind of peeked out underneath my snow globe. So I painted that using my crimson, and then I'm going to use my hot glue and some Gorilla Glue, and I'm going to attach that. And then I took some ribbon that I had left over from a present that I got last year. Remember, it's not hoarding if you use it. Anyway, I'm just going to fold that down and then wrap it around my snow globe and then hot glue that on the back. And then I made a sweet little bow by folding it over in thirds and then used a chenille stem to wrap it in the middle, just like you've seen me do 1,070,011 times. And then I'll dovetail the edges and then I'll put that on the very front. And then I'm going to take one of those wooden snowflakes that I used in another DIY and ended up not using this one. And then I'm going to paint that with my ballet slipper chalk paint, and then I'll attach that to the middle of my bow. And here's how it turned out, and I think this is so adorable. I love miniatures, and people have shared that with me as well, that it brings them back to their childhood. It was so easy, but it turned out so much better, I think, on the little platform. Kind of looks like a gumball machine, but I love how this turned out, and I hope you like it too. For our final DIY, we're going to be using 4 of these glass shadow box frames, and it's got a little space in between and the writing is actually on the glass. So we're going to be using 4 of those, and then some faux snow again. These are the little snowballs, and then also the glittery faux snow, as well as some blue foam beads. Now the majority of this project was all Kaydance's idea, and so the only input that I had was this sheet of window clings and the frames, and the rest is all her. So we're also going to be using some red and white baker's twine. So the first thing we did was took our frames all apart, and they're made out of plastic and they're pretty pliable. So I was able to use my fingernails to open them up from the back, and then you just kind of bend them out. And then once you take the backboard off, there's another piece inside that holds the glass down. And so if you don't have fingernails, or if you don't want to use them, you can also use a screwdriver and that'll work just fine. So then I took some acetone, and I'm going to use a paper towel and just get the letters off of my glass. And you can also use a scraper, which is what Kaydance was doing. And then we're going to use our Waverly chalk paint in white and paint the outside of our frames, the front of it, and then the piece that holds the glass in, we're going to paint the inside and front of that and all of the backboards. And did you guys happen to notice the adorable little bracelet that Kaydance is wearing? That was sent to her as a sweet perky prize from a viewer, Lori Fine, in Ellisville, Mississippi. And she sent a bunch of jewelry for all of us, and we just appreciated it so much. I'll have to show you in another video, but she has some little earrings, and she has not taken them off since she got them. She basically lost her mind when she saw them. Anyway, thank you so much, Lori. We really, really appreciate the perky prize, and they will definitely be getting a lot of use. So anyway, after we got everything painted and it was all dry, we put the frames back together. And then we're going to cut our train apart so that we'll have one car for each individual frame. So these window clings had kind of a plastic piece that goes around the edges, and I didn't want that to show, so I'm going to cut those off, which was pretty easy for this large square car, but the smaller cars had a more intricate pattern at the top, so I needed some really detailed scissors to cut those out and make it look pretty precise, and you wouldn't be able to see that plastic. So it just so happened that another sweet viewer, Bryn Yule from Lakeside, California, happened to send me a perky package, kind of like a care package, but it was a perky prize, but there was a whole bunch of stuff in there. And she sent me these scissors along with 70 other items, and it was just perfect because this is exactly what I needed, and they have a Teflon cover so that they don't stick to anything. So it made my job super easy. She also sent me some liquid glue, which was perfect for this project, and I was able to put these onto the backboard, and there weren't any bumps, and hot glue would have melted it. So thank you, Bren. So after we got all of our train parts onto each of the backboards, Kaydance decided she wanted a sweet little bow in different parts on each of those cars. So she decided where we would put them, and then we just used that same liquid glue to attach them onto our pictures. So then she took some glittery faux snow and put some in the bottom of the frame, and then she took the snowball faux snow and added that to the frame, and then just a few of the tiny blue ones to add some color. I wasn't really sure about the blue, but she explained that there were blue presents in the cars, so that would match, and she was totally right. So like I said, this was all her. So there were also the little snowflakes that were in that pack, but they weren't sticking very well, and we probably could have gotten them wet or something. But it also had the plastic edge, and she didn't really like that, so she decided to take them out. And here it is, all finished, and I love this so much. This is my favorite just because it was done with love, and my granddaughter, we got to spend some quality time together. I'll be able to have this out year after year and remember that special time we spent together. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, comment, let me know what you think, and don't forget to stop by Belinda's channel at Belinda's DIY and let her know I sent you. If you haven't already, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button down below, as well as the little bell right next to it, so that you can be notified every time I upload a brand new video. Remember the reason for this season. I hope everyone has a blessed day, and remember to always be the light. Bye!